Paradise Regained, you made a comment on my video Watchtower Study Edition for Jehovah's Witnesses and Progressive Bible students. You said, at Rev, there's a name for it? Unlike a worldly company, the company here is Jehovah's organization. If you leave it, you can return. Happily, it doesn't matter how many scream and holler after leaving, as it won't make 1 cent's worth of difference. What it will do is the same thing. Show them up for them alone. It's sad, but that's the way it is. In denial is what most apostates are, and they have to hide constantly by making bruises, which makes them look so childlike. But Jehovah understands, and so do we. Well, first of all, the last thing you said there, so do we, you're incorporating what's called the preacher's we. You're including yourself in a group as if everybody understands in this religion. Everybody thinks your way. Well, guess what? They don't. There are many among you right now that are actually considering what I've been saying, and they think about it, and they realize that I'm right. Now, so it's not a question of we understanding. It's a question of you think you have this group backing you in your thoughts when you really don't. You think you understand the mind of God when you say Jehovah understands. Well, I can assure you, God does understand what's going on here, and God sees it very clearly. And if you back up at some of the things you said here, in denial is what most apostates are, and they have to hide constantly by making ruses. Paradise Regained, you're the one who's hiding behind a screen name on the computer. Okay? I'm not hiding. I don't see any of these other YouTube users hiding. Why don't you take Lucius V. Bogeyman's advice and get a camera from him? He'll buy it for you. Then you can put your face out here on YouTube so we can see the person who's making all these insinuations against all of us that have lost our families and friends over this religion. Okay, you're a coward, Paradise Regained, and you hide behind a screen name. You won't make a video. You won't show your face because you'll be shunned by the very handlers you defend. So if you back way up in what you said, you talk about a company, the company being Jehovah's organization. First of all, God doesn't have a company, okay? He doesn't have an organization here on earth, and he didn't have an organization from the time of the apostles all the way up until Charles Taze Russell, actually William Henry Connolly. Okay, in the late 1800s. All right? So your whole idea that God has always had an organization, God has not always had an organization. A bunch of overreaching men have chosen to place themselves as what they call themselves anointed. Okay, and they've deceived a bunch of people into following them. Now, this is what's going on here, in case you really don't know, where you said that if you leave it, you can return. Well, the big question is, if you leave it, can you leave it so that then later you can return? If you leave this religion, your family and friends are going to now look at you as an unsuitable fish. They're going to basically treat you like a farm animal. Yeah, some have said, oh, I went back and I had a big group hug with all my family and friends. Yeah, this person sees his family once a year at the memorial. Okay, and has a big hug fest. And that's a wonderful thing. The rest of the time he's shunned, treated like dirt, like a billy goat, okay? Kept tied up in the friggin' backyard and fed tin cans or something. That's how these people think. Yeah, at the memorial, when there's a big audience, they'll embrace you and tell you what a wonderful, how great it is to see you again. But the rest of the year, ugats. That's where it's really at there, Paradise Regained, okay? So now, this is where you're making a big mistake here in understanding what's really going on. You got cancer, okay? We all know, all right? We read your webpage, and you're going to doctors for treatment. You're getting chemotherapy, you're getting radiation therapy, you're getting all this crap. None of it's working, okay? You're dying, and you realize it. So now you want to go get new treatment somewhere. So you say, I think I want to try the Budwig diet, okay? And all of a sudden, you're being told by the doctor that if you go and try the Budwig diet, you can no longer receive treatment from us. As a matter of fact, we won't even associate with you anymore. And we'll be sure to send out a bulletin to all the staff that if you want to have any association with us and tell us how your cancer treatment's going with the Budwig diet, we just won't fellowship with you because you are now an apostate to our little scheme. So, now you're faced with this decision. If I leave them, yeah, they'll accept me back after I totally renounce the Budwig diet, and I go back and maybe for a year or so, I have to put up with being sat in the back of the waiting room and be forced to wait until there's nobody else in the waiting room whatsoever. They all get treated first, and then they'll treat me because they're so kind. Really. You're a child. You're raised in this religion. You reach a point now where you're pressured into baptism. So you go and you take the plunge. Now you're baptized into the religion. Then somebody like me comes along, okay, and shows you a scripture. Matthew chapter 24, verse 5. And shows it to you out of the very same emphatic diaglot that the Watchtower Society hid from their members for 25 years. They began publishing it, and then they hid it from their members. You see, actually what they did was they bought the plates to it, and then they didn't let it out. Why? I think I know why. Matthew 24 and verse 5. And it states there, many, for shall come in the name of me, saying, I am the anointed, and many they shall deceive. And Luke 21:8, do not go after them. Those are the words of Jesus Christ. Now, you correlate in your mind that some in your religion call themselves anointed. And you say, this is very strange, because really there's no other religion anywhere in existence that's known to common people that calls themselves anointed. And now you see the words of Jesus Christ where he says that many would come saying they are anointed or Christos, okay, or they have some special gift of prophecy, or maybe they're some sort of a pastor or a leader with some special insight. And Jesus said they would deceive many. And then he says, just to drive it home, do not go after them. So your child raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and somebody like me shows this scripture to you, and now you're faced with a decision. Do you follow Christ and be shunned by all these other people? Or do you follow these men unwillingly, reluctantly? So here's the choice, Paradise Regained. You follow these nitwits in Brooklyn, in Patterson, okay, in the legal department. You follow them and you can keep your family. You renounce them and say, I no longer want to follow them, okay? Because Christ says, do not go after them. And now I have to lose my family and friends. That's what's going on. So when you want to make statements like this, hiding behind a screen name, think about that and think that we're not the only ones reading this. Everything that you say and write on here is being kept in a ledger, remember? And God understands. He understands very well, Paradise Regained.